So I first want to see how much the cauliflower weighs in the packaging when purchased from the store. It says that it's 500 grams, but currently frozen, it's 521. We're going to let it completely thaw, and then we're going to weigh it after it's thawed and compare it to fresh cauliflower. The bag of cauliflower currently ran at $2.98 Canadian, and the fresh cauliflower, being out of season, ran at $5.98 for the head. Oh wow. Okay. So while waiting for the cauliflower to fully thaw, which is probably going to take all day, I wanted to cut up the fresh cauliflower. And if you hear my dog in the background, she's always excited when fresh cauliflower is around. She usually gets the ends. So let's weigh that after. This isn't going to work. Okay. So now we're 715 grams after cutting it off. So I'm actually going to start boiling this first and weighing it after the water's drained off, again, to see what the final weight is. I understand it's going to be more. I'm not going to squeeze the excess liquid out, but I just want to see dollar per gram what I'm paying for fresh compared to frozen. I think it's done now. Oh yeah, fork goes, well, a little hard there. I'll just let it cool down naturally, drain the water off, and maybe that'll be thawed by then. Okay, so I have steamed the cauliflower that I made right here, and I've been letting it sit, kind of drip drying a little bit. There's not a lot of water in there, and it is fully cooked, and now I'm going to weigh it. But I need to try to fit it back on this plate. Tear it. Still a lot of moisture in it, which I'm going to use anyways. My favorite dish to make is, there we go, is a cauliflower mash with garlic. So we're sitting at 717 grams. Okay, so I have let this thaw. There's quite a bit of liquid in here actually. But what I'm going to do is open the bag so it's still fully sealed, and we're going to see how much this actually weighs thawed and after the liquid has been removed. Oh, that looks a little, ugh. Oh, maybe I'll give that to the dog. She's whining so patiently for it. All right, so we're tared, and we're gonna do a weight. Oh, so we're not 500 grams. So 474 times 298. Okay, so we'll do the math in a bit here.
So initially I started this project to see which would work out to be less expensive. I didn't pre-weigh the fresh cauliflower head before purchasing, although I did try to pick the largest one. I do know that in the summertime when this is in season, you can buy fresh for $3.98 or less per head. And I wasn't sure how much waste I would also have to trim off the final and what the final weight would be. What I hadn't counted on, though, was the weight difference between the frozen and thawed cauliflower. I don't work in a factory, but I presume that they blanch it and then put it in bags up to 500 grams and then freeze it. I'm sure that in the freezing process, more condensation then becomes ice and adds to extra weight. So the frozen cauliflower weighed in at 521, and the thawed cauliflower weighed in at 474. So I feel like I paid for 26 grams of water, but I actually had 47 grams of water waste. The fresh off-season is way too high, although there isn't as much waste. And the other thing to consider is that when you're buying frozen, you can't see if there's any bad spots like the one that I had today. Cut fresh cauliflower weighed in at 715 grams, and at the end 717 grams. So the prepackaged vegetable works out to 62 cents per 100 grams, and the fresh worked out to 83 cents per 100 grams. Now, if it was summer, I would say to make sure you're not paying more than $3.98 a head, and that will work out to be 55 cents per 100 grams. I'm almost curious to see if I blanch and freeze the fresh cauliflower, what its weigh-in will be blanched, frozen, and then thawed. Thank you for being patient with me through this process. I filmed it at the same time as processing the food, which made me go out of screen for some of this. I wanted to show that the packaging was not tampered with before doing the experiment. For the cauliflower mash, kind of wing it. I do 3/4 cups of cream cheese, 1/4 cup of butter, salt, pepper to taste, lots of garlic, mixes of different Parmesan cheeses. I blend the cauliflower first, and while that's doing that, in a pot I mix the spices and the fats under medium heat just until they're melted. Then I mix it all together.